Tim Pool was very recently on Fox News. He was on Water's World on the Fox News channel. Not sure what it was that he had to talk about, but you guys know that I'm a Tim Pool fan, so let's react to this.
Tim Pool, host of Timcast. Are you buying the Zuckerberg transition?
I'm buying that he's a fair weather friend and that this is the path of least resistance. But hey, look, we're happy Trump won, so I'll take the power if he's shifting in this direction. But
for context, for those of you who are not familiar with what's going on here, Mark Zuckerberg recently has sort of enacted free speech policies on Facebook and across all the different Meta platforms. So like there was like very like anti like current thing rhetoric about like LGBT individuals, for example, that was getting banned from these platforms. That's now that after like Trump spoke with Mark Zuckerberg is now allowing this sort of content, and you know all these people in the progressive left are losing their minds, saying this is going to cause people to die or whatever. Actually, I don't know how many people are saying that, but they are losing their minds over this. And some people are like, "Oh, is Mark Zuckerberg a right winger now?" I think what people forget is that Mark Zuckerberg has always spoken out in favor of free speech, and he's always been a fan of free speech. I think the reason why he hasn't enacted free speech policies on Facebook at this up until very recently is just because that's not what the elected officials wanted. I think that he actually said in this Joe Rogan Experience interview that I think the Obama administration, the Joe Biden administration would go up to him and ask him to censor certain content, and they would end up doing it. I think that there were threats that of litigation and stuff at one point that were followed through with, which is I think one reason why Facebook got litigated for, I think, like the Cambridge Analytica scandal, although I also think that was partially retribution for Trump getting elected. I think they wanted Facebook to stop Trump from getting elected. They didn't, so that was the punishment. That's my conspiracy theory. You know, might not be true, but that's just my own personal conspiracy theory. But all of that to say, I think that free speech is Mark Zuckerberg's true value, but he's only enacting that policy now because he feels like it's safe for him to do so. He feels like he's not going to get backlash from a Trump administration for allowing free speech on this platform. And I think that's a fair assessment. I think that that's true, and I think that's fair. I think that's accurate.
I'll take the power if he's shifting in this direction. But I think when you look at the Joe Rogan podcast, and he talks about, oh, they're yelling at us and they're forcing us to do these things. This only scratches the surface. Facebook built a portal for feds to log in to their company so they could flag misinformation. It has long been known, over a decade, that the federal government, the FBI, the CIA, I think the NSA, had backdoor access to Facebook as well as many other companies. So when Zuckerberg comes out and he's all, oh man, you know.
Right. I think it was not just Facebook, but X as well.
They were yelling at us and putting this pressure. We had no choice to do it. You're only saying that now because the news and the information got leaked over a long and hard-fought battle where activists...
But I think it's still true, though. It's still true that they were being pressured by the federal government to censor certain things, so it doesn't make it any less true or accurate.
Real journalists were exposing them for having done this. Now they're giving us the light vanilla version of they were just having us censor this COVID stuff. No. Let me ask you a question, Mark Zuckerberg. Eric Ciaramella, do you remember that name?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the guys involved in whistleblowing on Donald Trump for the false impeachment against him related to Ukraine. And there was a period where if you went on Facebook and typed that name in any context, they would delete it without notification, no warning, no rule violation. That is extreme censorship, because covering up that name hid a news story of historical significance. We can talk about the laptop. That affected an election, massively important.
And then Joe ended up pardoning his son for the laptop that was real that you got censored for talking about.
Yeah, that was crazy.
When Joe Biden says...
and their excuse was that, we need fact checkers to assert that this is true. This looks like Russian disinformation, so we're going to ban it preemptively until we can verify that it's not. But in reality, that was an excuse. They wanted to kill the momentum of the story to sort of hurt Trump's chances at winning the election.
Could have won. How do you react to that?
What was the underwater?
Could have won. Real that you got censored for talking about.
Yep.
When Joe Biden says, I could have won, how do you react to that?
What was he underwater, like 14 points in the internal
Oh, yes. This is about him saying that he could have won the 2024 election.
That.
What was he underwater, like 14 points in the internal polling?
They didn't show him that poll.
It's really remarkable and scary, though. If you're a Democrat, who do they have? They don't have anybody. They've been desperate to
They do with some people. I think Gavin Newsom could win an election. There are other folks, I think, that have the charisma. I think some people are saying there's this dude named Josh Shapiro or whatever who has the charisma. I think that, honestly, Jasmine Crockett AOC ticket would be kind of wacky and zany. I think it would be a fantasy, a dream for content creators like myself and Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and Tim Pool and all those people. So much material there. But, there are actually legitimate people who, I think there were actually people who were whetting their appetites to run for president before Joe Biden announced that he was running again, that they decided to wait this out and then run for president in 2028. I think that Republicans shouldn't sleep on the Democrats. Now, I do think that they do have a problem because it shouldn't be that their successors are so underground that we don't really know who they are. Like, it's insane that you have to be as politically... You have to be politically in touch with, like, different members of Congress and stuff in order to know who some of the successors are. I think that sort of shows that these people don't have name recognition. Building up the brand, they're going to have to do that from scratch, which is not super easy to do. It's pretty rare, I think, for someone like that to win an election. I think Obama was an outlier, but Trump had name recognition. We knew who Trump was. We knew who Joe Biden was. We knew who, I think Bill Clinton had an established history in politics. George Bush had an established history in American politics. So it's very, very rare for someone to build up their image from scratch. At the same time, it doesn't mean it's impossible for an image to be built up from scratch. Obama was able to do it successfully. If you have someone who's very charismatic, like with the same level of charisma that Gavin Newsom has, because he's incredible charisma, you could see a potential winner in the Democratic Party there. But still, there are many Republican heavyweights. Ron DeSantis could run again. Vivek Ramaswamy is probably going to run again. There are probably some other people who are very, very strong contenders for the presidency who are going to run again on the Republican side. The Republican field is just way stronger. So it'll be tough, not impossible, but tough for Democrats to win in 2028.
Who do they have? They don't have anybody. They've been desperate to ice out anybody who could compete with their established order.
And they don't have Newsom anymore. Is Newsom salvageable at this point?
When that video came out and Newsom...
I think he could. I think he is salvageable, actually. A lot of people have short memory spans when it comes to political events. And I think one thing, too, is that, like, at the same time, if they hear something again that they have heard already, they don't really care and they don't view it as a scandal anymore. Trump, like, for example, the majority of people, I think, already made their minds up about Trump 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So whenever there's new scandal about him that hits him on an existing presser point, for example, Trump is a fascist, they don't really care because they've heard that already, right? Even if they don't even remember why they're calling him a fascist, they already have dismissed that because they've already heard this. Same thing with Gavin Newsom and the fires. It's actually kind of good that people already know about this, because in 4 years ago, are people even going to remember what the cause of the fire was? Maybe he'll be able to spin some sort of story by that point, which says, hey, you know what, it was global warming, my hands were tied with certain regulatory regulations, and also just, I don't know, people were getting in my way, I couldn't do what I needed to do, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and someone with gasoline started the fire anyway, so I couldn't have stopped that. Various factors that were out of my control caused this fire, not me. And it could be plausible enough that many left-wing voters and moderate voters look at that and say, okay, I sort of get where you're coming from. Or they're like, well, we don't really care and there is an explanation for everything. So I don't think that it's entirely sunk his campaign prospects the way that a lot of people think.
Newsom was asked by Anderson Cooper, where's the water? And he said, they're figuring it out. That said right there. Newsom said, I am the governor and I have no idea what's going on in my state.
That picture of him with his hands in his back pockets staring at the fire, he's toast.
The fire
Maybe.
stuff,
I don't know.
Hits me really personally. I have a lot of friends deeply affected by it. And
the problem is people vote based on vibes. So if the vibes are not about the fire in 2028, he is going to win. Well, not going to win, but he has a chance at winning. He's a chance at winning. This is the type of Democrat who I think could be the Republican. So we should not be so lackadaisical. We should not be so blasé. This dude could win an election.
I don't want to sound crass. I see these natural disasters happen in the country, the hurricanes, and I feel for these people. And this may sound a little selfish, but when I have family and friends that are living in those hills, and I don't know if they're alive or dead, it hits me twice as hard. And I know it shouldn't, but it is personal. So I get really offended by the callousness and the apathy coming from the government there.
Yeah, we need a federal takeover of California. They're just not equipped to handle this.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. These are the awful Fox News takes. Okay. Lefties have their own reason for not liking Fox News. Mine is just for facetious, unserious arguments like this. And it's statements like these, which is why I never wanted Jesse Waters to have a position like he has right now. And I was not happy that he got a show on the weekends, and even less happy that he has a show on weeknight television right now. He does not deserve to have a primetime spot. Okay, hold on. I'm going to say it back up again. Sorry, this dude just literally got me so tilted that I was tilted at 19 degrees. Okay, look. That is not a serious argument. That because of a fire, the federal government should take over California because they don't know what they're doing. What kind of policy position is this? That's not serious. Now, maybe he's not being serious and he's joking, but it's a bad joke. It doesn't work. It doesn't make it obvious that he's joking. Like, look,
really offended
does he
by the
act
callousness
like he's joking
and the apathy coming from the government there.
Yeah, we need a federal takeover of California. They're just not equipped to handle this. And
he is not acting like he's joking. He's not acting like he's joking. So I don't really like that argument. I don't think that argument saves him here. But to say that the federal government needs to take over California because of a fire is absurd. You, as a voter in your state, vote for your own destiny as much as you can, possibly, right? So if your elected officials behave in a certain way, you and you voted that way, you voted for it. And these people overwhelmingly vote blue, okay? So I don't really want to hear it, okay? And they vote for the incumbent, they vote for Gavin Newsom. I do not want to hear it, okay? Now, of course, right, if you're in the fire, right, and you're negatively affected, of course, I feel for you, and it's not great that you were in the fire, and of course, you don't deserve to get your house burned down. But when it comes to the response, you voted for this level of response is what I'm trying to say. So, right, when the firefighters are running out of water, but Gavin Newsom, the person you voted for, cut funding for water to these firehouses, you voted for that policy. That's just the fact. When Gavin Newsom refuses to let in extra water from other areas into California to help with the drought and the dryness of certain regions of the state, when he refuses that and then those areas catch fire, that's the response that you voted for. Those are the policies and governmental actions that you voted for. So it definitely sucks. And you don't deserve to have that happen to you, but you also voted for it. So there is that as well. But that doesn't mean that the state should come in and take over everything. That's ludicrous. That's absurd. It is appalling that he would say something like that and there'd be no backlash at all. It's wild, especially like the left. I understand if more fellow people on the right aren't willing to criticize it, but on the left, people should be like, huh? What? And then ripping the shreds for the statement. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. What else does he have to say here?
At the Olympics right around the corner, and you know I'm a big Olympics guy, Tim, so we can't have this happening on my watch.
I hear you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Click here to
Absurd take. I do not like Jesse Waters. He's like my least favorite person in Fox News. Any interesting comments? So this is why Tim was in network today. Yeah, he made a video about it. Should I do more hate watching react segments with that dude? Because I so totally could, but not at this moment. So frustrating. But it was nice to hear Tim Pool speak on Fox News because I'm a Tim Pool fan. I think he's got some base takes. I don't think he's perfect, but he's good enough for me. I like Timcast IRL. Great show.